Iroquois First Nations.
They lived in eastern Canada. They farmed their food. Their main crops were squash, corn, and beans. They were able to farm because they didn't move around. They stayed in one place. They lived in longhouses. They had to cut down the trees to build their house. They worked together to build their house and to plant and farm their crops. They lived in a big family group together. We are proud of what we learned in the project that we made. First Nations live in central Canada. They mainly eat buffalo and they use the hides to cover their teepees, which they lived in. It took around 12 buffalo to cover their teepee. It was the woman's job to do this. The Plains people moved around from place to place because they needed to move around to hunt. The teepees were easy to take apart and move around. They worked together to hunt and travel together. We liked building our model to show what we learned.
We learned about the Woodlands First Nation. They live in the eastern part of Canada. They lived in teepees that were easy to put up and down because they hunted and had to move around to find food. They hunted rabbit, deer, moose, and bear. They hunted all together in a community. The best hunter was the leader of the community. We enjoy working together on this project. What is the project about the First Nation of the Mackenzie and Yukon River bases? They lived in the north part of Canada where it is cold. This is the fish that they are catching. These are the igloos that they live in. They had to move around to go where the animals were to hunt. They worked together to hunt for their food. This is a boat they used to catch their fish.
I enjoyed working on my project about First Nations of the Mackenzie and the Yukon River Basin, which is in the north of Canada. I learned that they get their food by hunting animals like bear, fox, caribou, and fish. They use spears to hunt the land in icy and plant to not grow. Well, they lived in igloos. The people in the community worked together to hunt. The leader was the best hunter. They sometimes had to move around to follow the animals to hunt. We really like learning about how they live in the snow.
We learned about the Iroquois First Nation. They lived in the southern part of Canada. They lived in long houses made of wood. The houses were permanent, so they lived in the same spot. Their food, for their food, they grew corn, squash, and beans. They lived in long houses in large family groups. They worked together to grow the harvest their crops. We like working on this project and learn about the Iroquois.
Learned about the Iroquois First Nations. They lived in the southeastern part of Canada. They lived in longhouses. They were good carpenters and used mostly wood to build their houses. They grew squash, beans, corn, and wheat crops for their food. They lived together in big groups.
and they sometimes hunted and fished. They didn't move around, so they could have. We really did enjoy learning about the earbuds.
They lived in teepees. Teepees are easy to build and take down, which was good because they moved around. They built their teepees out of things they found in nature. They fished for food. They did their work together as a community. I built a bridge for them to travel over. I built some dirt and trees because there are a lot of forests where they live. I enjoyed building the bridge for my project.
I learned about the Plateau First Nations. They lived towards the bottom of BC and Alberta, where it was semi-desert. Their food was mostly salmon. They went out on boats to catch the salmon. They lived in houses that were dug into the ground and protected with spruce branches. They had a ladder going down into their homes. You would climb down through a hole in the roof. Their homes were usually near clean water. They lived and traveled in family groups.
The group I'm talking about is the Pacific First Nation. They live on the Pacific coast of Canada. They live in home houses between the ice through. The houses are made out of wood, cedar. If you go to the closest sales point, you will find a long house that is 170 meters long. They ate wild and fish. They use canoes to fish. They help each other build their houses and live in one family. They are very good at company. Yes, some project. Two, I had fun making this project. Hope you enjoy it. And about the Plains First Nations, they lived in the grasslands and the prairies. They hunted buffalo using spears. They used the mountains as they trapped to lure the buffalo down the mountain and then kill them. They did not live in the same place all the time because they had to follow the buffalo. We lived in teepees because they were good for travel. The community worked together when they hunted for buffalo. They liked learning about the Plains First Nations and how they hunted buffalo.
Hello, my name is Simeon. I did a project on the Woodlands First Nation. It was fun making people and teepees. I liked learning about it. They mostly ate fox, bear, deer, rabbit, moose, and fish and berries. It was interesting to know what they did during the day. They must have were charged as a community to build all those teepees. Usually you think of teepees as small little things, but they actually are great survivors for the natives. Their clans were usually 114 people or less. Thanks for listening to my project. Signing off.